Elf the movie. Unfortunately, I regret to tell you that this is a gaming channel, so you don't get a 1 hour retrospective of Elf the movie for now. Instead, we have the game for Game Boy Advance called Elf the Movie, which is actually a game, not to confuse it with the thing that Game Boy Advance did a while back where they had shows and movies to watch on the Game Boy Advance. You could buy a cartridge that had an entire movie or show on it, but that's not what this is. This is an actual game. Just look at it. Doesn't it just fill you with Christmas cheer? This game, well, obviously is based off the movie Elf, which I rewatched for this video. It was okay. When I was a kid, I loved this movie. I thought this was the funniest thing ever, but nowadays when I rewatch, I'm just kind of like, yeah, it's all right. If someone had this as their favorite Christmas movie, I would not complain. Though again, that's just me talking. If you look online, there are some people here that think this is the god of Christmas movies, so if you're bored one Christmas, give it a watch or something. It's pretty entertaining. But we're not talking about the movie. We're talking about the game. So how is the game? Well, before that, let's go into a bit of a history of the game, even though there's really not much I could find online, but there is some stuff here. Elf, the Game Boy Advance game, was developed by Jollyford Management Limited. That just screams video game company, doesn't it? There isn't a lot of information on these guys, really. Obviously, they're dissolved by now, but there's no date really telling when, only some stuff they did in the past. They apparently made an Emperor's New Groove game, but I looked up all the games and I couldn't find the credits anywhere in any of them. Maybe I just suck at researching, which is probably true, honestly. However, one game that I could find that they had credit for was the plug-and-play Scooby-Doo game, which appears to be a bunch of different games you could play at one time, hence the plug-and-play system. It features some platforming sections, some driving sections, and other type of stuff. It seems pretty neat. Maybe one day I'll put this on the channel because I'm a big fan of Scooby-Doo. Just look at these Scooby-Doo pants! I've always loved the look of these plug-and-play consoles. I don't know what it is. They're just so elegant. I did find out something strange, however. Oddly, I found an article from 2004 saying the Elf game was going to be developed by a company called Humansoft and not Jollyford. And I don't see Humansoft in the credits anywhere in this game, so what happened? Well, I have no clue. Not that many people have done enough research into Elf the video game, so there's not really much information online, so hey, what can you do? The only thing I can maybe think of that happened was that the publisher swapped developers midway in development. That's the only thing I can really think of. The article also said this game had an MSRP of $20 back then. Man, that's nothing compared to nowadays. The comments on this article are awesome too, because they're all from 2004, and even back then people were like, this is shovelware, who cares? The release date of Elf the movie, the actual movie, was released in November of 2003, but the game came out in November of 2004, a year later. You might be thinking, why do this 1 year later after the movie? Well, because this actually released with the DVD, which released 1 year after the movie came out in theaters. And I actually own the DVD. I watched it on this damn thing. I miss these unique DVD menus, man. They had such amazing UI and style back then. Nowadays, we just get a PNG that just has the button of play movie. That's lame. I'm not gonna go over what the Elf movie is about because you can just watch it yourself. Just do it. Like, come on. It's an hour and 35 minutes long. Just watch the damn Christmas movie. Come on, just pirate it or something. Anyway, back to the game. Here's an overview of the game and what you can expect. It is definitely a video game. To be honest, this is the kind of fake video game you see people playing in the background of a movie or something. This is the kind of game that an 80-year-old describes to a person when they get asked what a video game is. Like, really, honestly, after playing this, my reaction to this was really just, that's a video game. This game got a negative reception, which is absolutely fair, but I really don't think it's not that bad. It's just kinda nothing. Most of the game is platforming, but it's just so incredibly easy, anyone can do it, which I mean was probably the point of the game, so anyone can play it, but most good platformers activate something in your brain, something in your body that makes you feel a certain kind of emotion, like when you're struggling on something and you try and overcome it, for example. But this game doesn't have that feeling at all. This game makes you feel nothing. You become an emotionless husk after playing this game. I will say though, the game does have a bit of variety though, at least, as there are some levels that aren't platformers, but again, they're all just so incredibly easy. Legitimately, the only time the game isn't easy is when the levels are actually bad. But luckily, that only happens maybe twice in the game. It really doesn't help that you need to take 10 whole hits before you actually die in this game. And there's even a full heal almost every couple of seconds. So you're never going to be really dying unless the game is playing against you. This game made me appreciate difficulty in games more, because this just rotted my brain. As always though, I will give them props where it is due. Controlling Buddy, the main character if you don't know, does work. There's nothing wrong with it at all. It is functional, and nothing unique about it either. You move to the left, you go to the left. You move to the right, you go to the right. You jump, you have a decent enough animation and the jump works. It's completely fine, but it's just so basic, which is honestly probably a compliment. There are just so many movie tie-in shovelware games out there that control like absolute garbage, but this works. There are some levels where I did have issues with the controls for different reasons, but I'll go over those later as I want to focus on the platforming one I had an issue with. And that is regards to slopes. When you walk down a hill, Buddy automatically walks down the hill. I'm not pushing anything here, he's just automatically walking down it really fast. Luckily though, there's only like maybe 5 slopes in the entire game, so it doesn't really matter. You don't even use this gimmick for momentum jumps or anything. There's nothing really in front of them either, they're just kind of pointless. I guess it's better than the flat nothing you see throughout the entire game anyway. Most of the game is flat. And the game also loops to a noticeable degree. You see the exact same sections multiple times, so it's obvious they just copied and pasted sections over and over again to make the game and levels longer, which is kind of funny really. There are some variations to the gameplay which I'll go over later, but just know that there are new stuff in the game that you do get to see. The visuals in this game are bizarre. I actually think the levels in the North Pole look great. I don't actually have really any complaints about the ice area here. It looks fine. It looks great even. If I were to nitpick something though, the candy cane area lasts a solid 1 second in the actual movie. So why would you make an entire level that lasts legitimately 1 second in the movie? I will be a bit fair though. He does describe his adventures going into the candy cane forest when he explains his adventures going to New York to several different people in the movie. But I still don't think it's that significant to make a level for, but whatever, you did it and it looks good, so eh. One of the levels later on is a cave, which doesn't even happen in the movie, okay? Alright, I'm done nitpicking for now. But still, like I was saying, the game doesn't actually look that bad in the ice sections. It actually looks quite good. Honestly, it's kind of deceptively good. It feels like they were making some sort of ice-based game and then got told to slap Elf on it. And I'm starting to think this might be the case because man, everything related to Elf in this game kind of looks off. The enemies in this game are these polar bears, raccoons, and birds, and they all just look so out of place compared to the rest of the environment. Later on in the game, you get to New York, and almost all the levels just don't look that great. Overall, I think the ice levels look good, and the New York levels look kinda eh. The game doesn't hurt to look at, which I guess is a compliment, but man, it's just really bizarre. It really feels like they just had to throw Will Ferrell here in the last second. The music in this game is fine, it does its job, but that's really it. There are some remixes of some Christmas themes in here that kinda work, like listen to this. See, it's alright, but there aren't that many soundtracks in this game anyway. There are 12 in total, and 3 of those are in the optional minigames that aren't in the main game, so if you don't play those, you'll just be hearing 9 of the tracks, which isn't really a lot. And I honestly think the songs they made in this game aren't really designed to be listened to for the long term. You start going a little bit insane if you start listening to them for long enough, like I had to. There are 17 levels in the game, so the 9 tracks you listen to get used more than once, so you will be listening to them for a while. But that's pretty much an overview of the entire game. Why are my notes on this 3 pages long? Anyway, let's go into a deep dive into this game and go through the entire game together. When you launch the game, you get a title screen, and wow, what a title screen that is. That's Will Ferrell, alright, if you couldn't tell. After that, you get to the main menu. If I didn't play this game and you asked me what game this menu is for, I wouldn't be able to answer. This menu does not look like it is for an Elf video game. But as for the title screen, you have mini games you can play, which we'll go over later, as well as audio settings and the credits. But enough about that. Let's start the game. Oh my god. You get these pictures once in a while from the movie, all downscaled to fit the size of the Game Boy Advance screen, which just looks so bad. Though it probably looks better on the Game Boy Advance screen, and I was playing this on a monitor, so that kind of ruined it. But when you get into each level, you get told what to do, and I'm not really sure why, as about 80% of the levels in this game are just platforming levels where you just have to move to the right and get to the end. There's really not much variety. You don't need this at the start of every level. Anyway, let's get into the game with the start of level 1. It's just so beautiful. I'm elfing all over my screen right now. Alright, enough of that. You collect candy and acorns, I think, to increase your score. In this level, you need to avoid these polar bears, which again, just look so out of place. They're also just so wide that in order to avoid them, you need to jump over them at the last second when you're very close to their face. But once you get hit by them maybe 1 or 2 times, you get used to it, so it's not really that big of a deal. You also can't jump on the enemies in this game either. You just take damage if you try. There are stars around the map that refill your health, and you just see them so many times. It's like, why have a health bar anyway at this point if you're just gonna heal me every 2 seconds? You have these jelly candies that I really don't remember the name of that you can bounce off of. Just hold the jump button down and you go higher over time. This isn't really used in a mechanically interesting way at all to get up higher or anything like that. It's mostly just to get out of randomly placed spots that are just holes in the ground. There's like maybe one level later where you use them to jump over the water, but that's about it. You also need to jump over and avoid these icicles as well, as touching them drains 1 hit of your health, but they're very easy to jump over. You also have these checkpoints in a lot of levels, which are these arrow signs, and thank God for these. If you get hit even once, you get sent back to the sign, which is why I was saying, why even have a health bar if getting hit once just sends you right back to the checkpoint? That makes no sense. But that's pretty much level 1. You can already feel the looping in this one because of how many times you go down the exact same slide and then do the exact same platforming section right after, over and over again. Level 2 is a cave. That's not in the movie. This level is pretty much the same as the last one. You just have to get to the end. But it does have something that's new and exciting. You're not going to believe this. Falling spikes. That's it. Absolutely nothing else new in this level. Just a mostly flat, boring walk to the right. Starting level 3, now this level is bizarre. You need to use the bounce candies to jump over the water, which I mentioned before, which is pretty neat, as it's always fun having precise platforming in my platformers. But this level is just so bad with the looping. You just see the exact same jump on the candy, jump to the next candy, and then land over and over again. Like, it happens 10 times in this. This level is a bit different though, as it has a goal. You can't just get to the end. You need to collect letters that spell out New York. And it's like, what is the point of this? It's actually difficult to not collect them. They are all just so easy to spot and get. This doesn't have any challenge, it's just there. It exists. But that's pretty much the entire level. Moving on to level 4, we get another picture with Buddy and Santa talking. This is when in the movie he finally decides to go to New York, which is a bit strange because in the previous levels it was telling us about going to New York, but Buddy didn't want to go to New York up until now in this level, which is just not correct. Though this level does follow the movie after they talk though, because he does go on an iceberg to get to New York, which is what's happening here in this level. And this level is also different, which is good. You need to jump from iceberg to iceberg in a different perspective. Again, this actually controls completely fine. It works, which is a compliment of itself for this game, honestly. I actually decided to die here to experience the feeling of death, and all that did is just kick me back to the start of the level. For the level design itself though, there is one annoying part here. Halfway into the level, there are moving icebergs, and this one iceberg takes forever to go back and forth between where you need to go. It legitimately takes like 20 seconds if you miss it, which is annoying. Overall, like the rest of the levels so far, it's just an level. I didn't hate it that much even with the faults, it's just kind of bland. Level 5 is again a new level, which is always fun to see. It's a slide level where you move left and right to avoid the obstacles and get to the end before the time limit runs out. Honestly, not a bad level. But I noticed something. There is a time limit in this level, and the clocks that you can collect around the map increase the time limit. But I think they give you so much time anyway that you don't even need to collect a single clock in order to beat this level. These levels just make me brain dead. Yeah, I rot my brain for the views. Level 6 has new enemies, raccoons and birds. And man, I really keep saying this, but they just look so out of place. Like, they look funny to look at. That shouldn't happen. I honestly don't remember the birds being in the movie at all. And the raccoons don't even appear in the city in the movie. You see a raccoon attack Buddy in a forest before New York City, but that was before he got into the city. In this level, he appears to be in the city, which just isn't correct. I mean, okay? In this level, there are trees with snow on them, and you can jump on them. The snow disappears after a bit, which makes you fall off, which is annoying. I'm not even sure if the snow ever comes back at all. Like, I was walking around for a while, and I never saw the snow come back on the trees. But luckily, that doesn't matter here, because this is just a move to the right level. But besides that, instead of having the pretty good sprite work of the ice world in the background, you just have an ugly-ass white screen with some buildings, which I guess might be an accurate representation of New York. I don't know, I've never been there. Starting level 7, we get another picture. This time, it's him nearly getting hit by a car, which did happen a decent bit in the movie. However, this level I took the most notes on, so you know this is going to be a good one. Just look at it. This is one of the levels I mentioned before where instead of it just being bland, it's just bad. It visually doesn't look good, and it also plays pretty badly. The goal of this level is to collect 20 Christmas lights, which have one issue. If you do what I did and run to the top of the street, you won't be able to see anything that's on the bottom street, which caused me to miss one. But if you do what I did the second time and you run on the bottom, you can see all the lights, which is much better. However, because I missed one, I had to run back and find it, which is a massive issue. Because I kid you not, this level is a 5-minute run to the right. No new mechanics to see to excite the player, nothing. You run to the right for 5 minutes. While I was recording that, I was shaking my fist. You know I was pissed. You can run across the street at any point in this level, just don't get hit by a car or you'll lose a bit of health. Not just one hit this time, you'll lose a couple hits. You can avoid the car safely by walking at a crosswalk where the cars will stop for you. Though the health in this game is actually different than the normal level, for the worse. For some reason, your health bar is slowly going down over time. Why did they do this? To refill health, you need to go through these revolving doors, which make no sense. Why does doing this increase your health? In the movie, he nearly passes out before going back into the door again. This doesn't heal him at all. The door also replenishes your stamina in this, which I didn't mention yet. You have a stamina meter here and a run button. When you run, you lose stamina. When you're out of stamina, you can't run. And it doesn't refill, so now instead of running 5 minutes to the right, you need to walk super slowly to the right unless you find a door or something that heals you. Though once you're done healing, a security guard comes out of the door and chases you, and if he gets to you, you lose health. What kind of health regen takes away health after you're done using it? Imagine you come out of the doctor fully recovered after an injury, and then he chases you down the street and punches you in the face. That's what happened here. Once you get all the Christmas lights in this level though, you go up to the Christmas tree and the level is done. This is probably the worst level in the game. Level 8 is a puzzle level. You need to rotate and connect the pipes so that way the same colors are touching each other. For example, you want the red package to go to the red pipe, and you want the green package to go to the green pipe. Pretty simple. And to be honest, while this is, again, brain dead easy, I always love doing these. Level 9 is another puzzle, quote unquote. It's basically just Simon Says. The buttons light up in a certain order and you just need to press them in that order. Once you do that, you deliver the package successfully. Again, very simple. Level 10 is the exact same puzzle level as before with the pipes, but it's a bit harder, quote unquote. It's still easy. Level 11 is the Simon Says game again, but instead of memorizing 3 buttons, you memorize 4. Level 12 is, are you kidding me? It's the pipes again. These aren't even that much harder. Level 13 is, are you kidding me? Why didn't you just make these puzzles one level? Why did this take up 6 levels in a row? In this one, you just memorize 5 times instead of 4, but man, it's just still so easy. It's not even that interesting. Level 14 is another minigame level, but this isn't one of the puzzle levels, so that's good, I guess. Instead, you need to throw snowballs at the elves here that pop up and avoid hitting Santa, which is very strange because in the movie, Buddy throws snowballs at some bullies in a snowball fight, not the elves. Anyway, like everything else, it's just so easy. Just don't hit Santa. The elves pop up very slowly, and they do throw snowballs at you. You also have a button to cover, but half the time the snowballs they throw at you miss anyway. Like, okay? You probably could just tank all the shots from the elves and still have a bunch of health left over. I think you have to hit like 30 elves, but I hit 40, so it wasn't really that big of a deal. See if you can beat that one. On to level 15. I'm not sure how many presents you need to deliver before the time limit runs out, but that's the goal. deliver the presents. Santa drops presents of different colors. You need to match the color of the presents with the house in the background, which honestly is a fun idea. The yellow and silver present are a wild card and you can deliver them anywhere. However, this would be so much more interesting if you get punished for delivering it to the wrong house. Because as it stands, I just push the pick up button and mash the deliver button while walking to the left or right, since there is no punishment for doing that. The game will always just deliver it to the correct house when you walk past it. So again, very simple. Level 16, we get another picture from the movie. It's with Buddy in the woods with some people. I won't say who so I don't spoil an almost 20-year-old movie for the people who haven't seen it yet. I'm feeling kind today. Anyway, in this level, you need to help collect Santa Claus's nuts. Grow up. This level is annoying because you have to jump on every single tree to make sure you don't miss any nuts. However, Buddy can't jump high enough to reach the branches to jump onto the tree. So what you need to do is jump on a nearby bush and jump from tree to tree, checking every single tree to make sure you don't miss a nut, which is honestly pretty time consuming and not that interesting or very fun to do. You also have these horses, which are in the movie by the way, chasing you around. Sometimes it feels like it's impossible to not get hit by them because you can't jump over them. You need to jump on a bush to jump over them, and sometimes they're in front of you on the way to the bush, so I guess I'll just die. Collecting these nuts also doesn't even happen in the movie, as it's Santa's engine that Buddy needs to find, not the nuts. But once we get all the nuts, we go to the right, and that's the end of the level, and we get to move on to level 17, the final level. It is bad. You play as Santa for this one, and you need to outspeed the park ranger on his horse. You can hold the jump button to fly, and the goal here is to collect all the bells as they refill your stamina and make you go faster to get ahead of the park ranger. The issue is, you move so goddamn fast you can't react to where the bells are. And holding jump to fly just takes up so much stamina, so when you're on the last bell, you basically checkmate yourself into getting caught and have to restart the level. There is a way and strategy to beat it, however. This level is one big loop that keeps repeating over and over again. So if you somehow manage to memorize the layout of a level that looks pretty much the same and memorize the position of the bell, you can jump into it when you think the loop is about to get to that point where you see the bell again. Once you get all the bells though, the level is complete. You get a congratulations saying Buddy the Elf has saved Christmas. Yippee! That's it. You get kicked back to the main menu. That's the entire game. I wish. Sorry for the bait out, but even though this part of the game isn't really a platformer, I feel like I should talk about the entire thing still. And that would be the mini games. There are 3 optional mini games in this game, so let's start with the first one. The first one is a puzzle game where you need to make a snowman. You do this by moving the snowballs that grow in size every tile as you move. You need to have the snowball that moved the most go into the snowman first, then the snowball that moved the second most go into the snowman second, and then the snowball that moved the least into the snowman last to make his head. Honestly, a pretty neat idea for a puzzle game. It's pretty short though, only a couple levels, and you don't get anything for doing this. You just get kicked back to the title screen. The second minigame is just Simon Says again, but with toys this time. Honestly, we didn't really need this, as we already have Simon Says, the elevator game, in the main game. And like, it's just Simon Says, man. I don't think anyone's getting hyped for Simon Says. Santa will say what he wants in the bag and you select him in the order of what he wanted. Yeah, Simon Says. The third minigame is different. You have 2 buttons, suck and release. You can suck up the shoes that are on the conveyor belt and you need to put the pair of the same color into the box below. Honestly, a neat idea, but it has some issues that prevent it from being good. If 2 shoes come at the top at the same time, the game doesn't really know which one to suck up first. And later on, once you've sucked up most of the shoes and put them in the box, it takes forever for more shoes to rotate around the conveyor belt. But the same as before, once you do it, you get kicked back to the title screen. In my opinion, 2 of the minigames are neat, but I personally only really like the snowball one, as I enjoy those kinds of puzzles. But that's finally the entire game, for real this time. It takes less than an hour to beat, which I guess is a positive, because then it's so short, it being boring doesn't really matter. But maybe it does, it's still boring. I don't know how to continue this sentence. There are only 2 levels I didn't like in this entire game. The rest of the game is just kind of what I said at the start. It's a video game. It's not bad, it just doesn't do anything. It's just boring. Generic controls, which I'll admit do work, boring and flat level designs, and noticeable loops over and over again. And when it tries to do something new, like having a different perspective on the camera or including a new minigame, it's just again the same boring game. Or, in case of the 2 levels I thought were bad, they're just bad. This is a game where I feel like the MSRP of $20 is asking a bit much for still. This is like a $5 experience at most, really. I feel like if a kid got this game, they might be like, yeah, it was okay, I'd rather just play Mario though, mama. Unfortunately though, I'm a grown-ass man reviewing this game, so it's not safe for me. But was this entire experience deserving of the title, Worst Platformer Ever Made? No, it's not. Really, the best compliment I can give this game is that in a sea of shovelware, it was just which honestly beats out a lot of the games I have already played on this channel. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna spend the rest of my holidays doing what a 29-year-old man does for the holidays. Absolutely nothing. Thanks for watching.